Do you have a bug out bag, or are you putting one together? Tell me, how do you plan on starting a fire? Bugging out into the wilderness, starting a fire is, well, I was going to say your number one priority. It may not be number one, but it is darn close. Keeping warm alone, drying your clothes, your socks, cooking food, starting a fire is vitally important. And so in my bug out bag, and in fact, in every single one of the bug out bags for everybody in my family, we have what we call them our fire kits. Now, I wish I could give you a link for the bag, but I made them. Basically, I just bought some canvas material, some thick canvas material. I wanted it to be nice and strong, some string and a little clippy thingy. And I sewed these together. I like to sew. It's kind of fun when it comes for like camping and stuff. So these fire bags have everything you need to get a fire going. And here's mine. I'll show you mine. But again, all my family, they're pretty much the same. So let's dig into it right away. And the fire bag is broken down into two parts. Right on the top, I always have the ability to make the fire. And then the bottom, which actually is much larger, is stuff to get the fire going. Like, think of it as like kindling. All right, let's go ahead and look at the way to start a fire first. I mean, I think a lot of the stuff you can probably guess what's in here. Start off with, we have matches. Now, I'll be honest with you, I probably should pick up some waterproof matches. These haven't been opened, I simply just tossed them in. I'm not a big match kind of person. Sometimes I use them, but for me, lighters are far more effective as far as starting a fire. And so what I have, and I have tons of them. Look, Dad, one of my sons wrote this on there for me as we put them together. I always get the family involved. So just some simple lighters. What I do is I buy them by the huge multi-pack. So I have lots of like just regular disposable lighters. This bag, my particular fire bag, has two of them. There we go. There's my two lighters, which obviously I will use quite extensively. In fact, they have been used out of this bag. But even more importantly, I have this. And this is my baby. I love this thing. Of course, you can switch it so it can't turn on while it's in the bag. That would be bad. But go ahead and turn it on. And, of course, probably hasn't started in a while. There we go. A torch lighter. The local hardware store here has these for, I think, $2. And why I love these is simply put, they're refillable. So get some canned butane, which we always have a couple cans in our storage, in our stockpile, just in case we need to. But this thing is really good at really torching stuff and getting stuff going. So that's important too. I also have in its own little baggie a battery. In fact, you can see how long it's been in here. It is rusty. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull it out real quick. I haven't checked this in a while, so let's see if it's even good. Oh yeah, sure is. So why a battery? You may already know, I'll show you in a minute. And then of course I have, what everybody loves to have is a fire starting brick. These things are cool, but I mean, look at it. You can actually see barely any marks on it. Why? Because I don't use it. And it's really funny. I don't know if you've watched other channels before. I love prepping channels, but you always see the people saying, look, I've got my little magnesium fire starters, for example, and they're always non-marked up because they are a royal pain. They do not work very easily. Look, if my matches run out, if my two lighters, which last forever, run out, if my torch runs out and this runs out, then I can basically come down to it, because we're talking about probably weeks I've been out in the wilderness. Again, my fire bag usually has more lighters than this. But here's what we actually have for starting the fire. You can buy these, all this stuff, really cheap at your local hardware store or on Amazon. In fact, if you like, I'll go ahead and put some links down below for things like this and this, so that way you can have them. And again, I'll probably swap out for some waterproof matches. But there you go. There's the part for starting the fire. And I keep that separate in my fire bag from this bag. Now, I like to be thrifty. Again, I buy stuff like the matches and these lighters in bulk as much as I can. I have these. In fact, I'll be honest with you, I forgot what they're even called. But they're actually little fire pots, and they actually work very well. And basically, you put them in the middle of some wood and light it, and it'll burn really hot for a while to get your fire going. Why do I not remember the name or how many is in here? Because I got them at a yard sale. You know, I always try, like yard sailing, see what I can find to add to my kit. There's only 2 in my bag, I think, because my family got a bunch of them also. So these things actually work really well. You know, I'll put a link in the description below. I'll remember the name by then, so I'll have them in there. Oh, here we go. This is funny. This is thrifty right here. Crayons. Now, a little pack of crayons like this, when we go out somewhere, often we'll actually get like little gift bags for the kids. Maybe we go to a fair or festival. Sometimes when you eat out, you get these little packs. And these crayons, I let the kids color with them if they want to while we're at a restaurant, for example. Go for it. But then I take the crayons afterwards. This is a pack that obviously was never even used. And they go right into our bags too. Because the crayon, if you didn't know, is like the perfect little candle. Okay, they burn for quite a while, keeping the flame going. It's not a huge flame, but they actually work very well as far as the wax goes and getting your fire started. So, being thrifty, whenever we get these for our family, which if you have kids too, I'm sure you have these things laying around, or at least broken crayons. Doesn't even have to be these packs, but any broken crayons, Mom, Dad, I broke my red. Let me have it. I'll take it and add it to our kit. So we usually keep these, and what I'll usually do is put another little snacky bag in there and put the crayons inside that bag. Next up, fire starters. My son makes these for us. They're actually for our wood stove, but I also put some in our fire bag. And the best way to make these is we take the little recycled cardboard egg cartons, cut them up for each individual egg, stuff a little bit of dryer lint in there, and you just dip it. The whole thing doesn't have to be covered, but just dip it in some wax to make pretty much the best fire starter you'll come across, and they're seriously inexpensive. And you can buy fire starters, I know you can, from the store, or even fat wood and stuff, but these work much better. In fact, in the description below, I'll put a link to a video on how we make these. And we survive on these things, starting up our wood stove or out in the woods making fires all the time. We love these things. And I usually have a few of those in here. Let's see. 1, 2, 2. Nope, here's some more. 3, 4. So here's 4 of them in this bag. I usually keep out, obviously that'd be enough to start 4 fires, but we have other stuff too. This is pretty scary looking. This was a fire starter, mind you, but basically a little fire starter brick, and maybe it actually got broken in half. I think this is like the Duralog brand of fire starter or something like that, and it may have actually been used somewhere else. I like to break them in half, be thrifty and put them in there. I mean, I could put it in its own Ziploc bag, but there's no need to, because if this does have any like petroleum chemicals, it'll just leach off to these other things inside my bag. Oh, here's another part. Could be the other half for that matter. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Same thing with this. This is actually a little fire starter too. You can get from the store. Here is another chunk of this stuff right here. Oh, there's a lot more in here. Here is another chunk of this kind of fire starter. And again, I like to take the stuff, and if I come across parts of it, I'll just throw them in my bag. That's what's nice about having like a nice hefty gallon-sized bag, is you can just stuff all this stuff in there, and it's not going to get everything totally messy. Oh wow, look at this. There's a huge chunk of it. So we actually have, between these fire starters and the candles too, from the crayons, we're looking at a couple weeks worth of starting a fire. Obviously that depends on how much water is on the wood and everything too. Now, here we have some steel wool, not just for cleaning your pots obviously, but if you take your battery, which I'm not going to do it, you can actually clip off a piece of this, use your battery, it'll actually will glow, and from the glowing you can actually start a fire with that as well. I'll be honest with you, with the lighters and the matches, redundant, sure, but it's still fun. And obviously if I need to, I can clean some pots with it. But having the battery with this in there too, it's just another option of starting a fire. Steel wool. Then lastly, I have tons and tons and tons of dryer lint. Is everything in the back? Yep, dryer lint. We actually have a big basket downstairs. And if you've been doing this for any time yourself for any long period of time, I'm sure you have a basket as well. But the family has a standing order that anytime you get dryer lint, change it out, it gets thrown in the bucket for fire starters. For making these kind of fire starters, but also just to actually have in our fire bag, so we can actually use this to get a fire going as well. Obviously we can use this dryer lint in combination with one of these or whatever, and that actually should work really well, or maybe the crayon, to get a fire started. And this is not something we just threw together and said, look, we have our fire bag. This is something we've been doing for years and years and years. And if you have kids, by all means, make them proficient in starting fires. With my kids, boys or girls, doesn't matter. I teach them once or twice on how to do it. Then after that, I say, okay, completely on you. And I don't even say a word unless they're going to completely mess up on it, obviously. And I make them make the fire a few times until we check that off and say, oh, you know what? You did a great job. Right now, my 3-year-old helps me make a fire every morning in our wood stove. We use one of these. I show him how to put the wood in. He loves it. But even more so, he learns about, well, you know, fires burn, and he knows what parts of the stove not to touch because he'll get burned. And he's so cute. He comes over and he goes, this one and this one, and I'll light it for him. Then he goes, now this log, and don't touch, it's hot. Don't touch, it's hot. And they become incredibly proficient at this. This is something that you and everybody in your family should be proficient at. And again, if you have bug out bags, you need to put together a fire bag. Look at all the stuff that fit in this thing too. I could probably fit even a little more. In fact, I'm sure I probably need to recharge a little bit of my dryer lint to put that in there too. But be thrifty, save things that you have around the house, egg cartons, dryer lint, wax. I even pick up old candles at yard sales. You'll often find like this giant shoebox full of candles that started to be burned. And then people are like, I don't want to burn this candle now for my nice dinner. So they'll throw them in a box, and you can often get a giant box full of candles for like $1. And so every time my wife's like, oh no, more candles. I'm like, yes, candles. And so we have probably like an office box full of candles down there. I could, if I wanted to, put some of those candles in this kit too. In fact, I probably should have to go along with it. But you know, I can only fit so much in here. And besides, candles are good for inside the house for light in case crap hits the fan. All right, how about you? Do you have a fire bag put together? If so, and also if you're proficient in making fires, what would you do for this list? Would you change anything? Add something? Here's something this. Is there anything in this you haven't tried before? But anything I can, I'll put links in the description below just so you can see where you can get it. And hopefully this can work out for you too. All right, so let's get a conversation going. I'm curious to see how you do your fire bag if you don't have one. And if you don't, I hope this video inspires you to make one because this is a bug out bag essential. All right, thanks. In the meantime, watch this other video.